What is your name? And tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dedra Handy. I am born and raised in Delaware. I'm 54, retired, a wife, a grandmother, a survivor.
What words come to mind when I say domestic violence?
Trauma, shame, hurt.
When was your first encounter with domestic violence?
I was around 15 years old. I had started dating, really wasn't a professional with dating, and it didn't start out like that. He was kind, he was nice, but I ended up pregnant, and he became very obsessive with me. And then one day he kind of like kidnapped me, made me get in the car, because I remember going down the road and I'm hollering out the window, "Somebody help me." And he took me on this road, and we call it Airport Road. And he threw me out the car in a ditch, and he left me. And I was pregnant with his child. And all the stress and harassment that he continued to give me, my daughter died, stillborn. And that was the first episode of my introduction to domestic violence.
Are there any other incidents you feel comfortable sharing?
I've had a few. Two of them were in high school, and one of them, me and him were, I thought, best friends. He was there after I lost my child, and I really thought we were the best of friends. We started dating, and somehow he ended up dating someone else that was very close to me, and I just didn't understand the why. So one night we're out. We have these places downstate where you can go and you can park and hang out, and that's where we were. And one thing led to another, and the next thing I remembered was walking out of that dark, wooded area trying to find help because he had almost beat me to death.
Many people think it's easy to leave a partner when domestic violence takes place. My question to you is, why did you stay?
Because I've had multiple domestic violence issues, the one right after that one, the next relationship, I was in a rest place and he called me outside and he slammed my head in a wall. One of them, I dated and I thought everything was good and he would change, and he didn't. So I think everything that I went through with the 5 incidents, because it was 5, was looking for something that I didn't have, looking for love in wrong places, not understanding who I was, low self-esteem. And it just caused me to stay in cycles that I thought was really basically normal.
How has your domestic violence experience affected you?
When you look at having 5 incidents of domestic violence, not having people to communicate and tell them really what's going on without feeling shame, embarrassed, or it was your fault, it's trauma. And it led me to a lot of trauma, hurt, pain, not wanting to trust, not wanting to talk, not wanting to deal with it. And I really believe after 5 episodes, I just buried every single solitary incident in my life because I didn't know what to do. And back then, it wasn't all the resources where people could help you. So I buried every assault. And the last assault that I was in, it was when I looked in the mirror and I didn't know who I was because it was that bad. I still have the scars to that. I still have trauma when I go to the dentist because of my mouth being messed up. So it still affects me right today.
What have you accomplished since moving from a victim to a survivor?
Oh, wow. I am a strong advocate. I sit on the board for a Delaware Coalition Against Domestic Violence. I've joined another coalition called Weaver. I have my own Women to Women Let's Talk group to help other women that sit silently in domestic violence to know that you can come out. I'm all in the schools, I'm in the college, helping students that are either pursuing criminal justice to help them see what it looks like from a survivor's place, so that when they go in these courtrooms or they go in a hospital, that they'll have that compassion for someone that has experienced it. Because when you're young, you don't know about that and how to relate to people. So it was worth it. I'm working on a book. I survived so someone else could live. So it's been a journey, and when I now look back and I say it was necessary.
What services or programs help you in your recovery?
I have 2 therapists because one is for one situation and one is for the other. But if you don't seek some type of therapy, especially with mine, it started at 15. And then with all the other traumas that was attached to my life, I needed somebody to help me unpack. And born and raised in Delaware, grew up in the church, we don't talk about it. We have this saying, what happens in this house stays in this house. And we carry that all our lives. And we don't never unpack the trauma. So I have every 2-week meeting with my therapist, and then with the different coalitions that I'm in, that helps to keep my head above water. Yeah.
What advice would you give a person who is currently going through domestic violence?
There is life outside those walls in that dark place, and you can survive. One of the biggest things that I've seen and learned is fear grips every woman that has experienced trauma from domestic violence. But when you see the red flags, I teach this to my students, don't ignore those red flags. It's just like going to a stoplight and you see red, yellow, green. And when you do see the yellow starting to approach, it lets you know that it's getting ready to be a stop. Don't ignore that. Don't ignore those signs, because what happens, we think, oh, well, they're going to change or they're going to be okay or something of the nature. And we let it slip until eventually it turns into something worse. I work for the medical examiner's office, and that started the journey for me to help someone else not end up in that situation.
Is there life after domestic violence?
Is there life after domestic violence? Absolutely. And I learned to love again. After domestic violence, it took some time because I didn't want to date. I didn't want to see anybody. But this man that's now my husband just continued to pursue me, and I am living my best life ever. And if it wasn't for him, I really wouldn't probably be sitting here to help another woman to come away from that dark thing called domestic violence. You can live again after it. I'm living proof. I do so much now. I have so much happiness and joy, traveling, doing things I never thought I'd do. So yeah, you can live after domestic violence.